everyone needs to get over themselves regarding Arsenal. And by everyone, I mean everyone. I am guilty of this. I think for years we have ridiculed and mocked Arsenal for not being strong enough, not being robust enough. And now, all of a sudden, they are incredibly robust. We're saying that they are too robust. For years, they weren't vigorous, they weren't sturdy. We mocked them, we laughed at their underbelly. And now, they are the most solid structure in the Premier League. Now we're mocking that. Like, look, I'm guilty of this. I'm not accusing anyone else of this more than myself. I'm almost doing this as a moment of therapy where I acknowledge that I need to get over it as well. But I think everybody is guilty. From the written press, from the people that I rate incredibly highly, right the way through to lunatic YouTubers. We are all completely getting it wrong with regard to Arsenal, and we aren't painting ourselves in a positive colour at all. Like, if you actually think about it, what are Arsenal doing wrong? You know, if I say to you, what are they doing wrong? If I were to ask you to tell me, level the accusations at Arsenal, I think that we will disprove all of them. And later in this video, I'm gonna attack the 3 major issues that is levelled at Arsenal, and I think that we'll disprove at least 2 of them. They're not doing anything wrong. They are not doing anything that hasn't happened before, and I think that it is fairly pathetic for all of us to keep doing it. And like I say, I am not divorcing myself from this. I am as guilty as anyone. Arsenal sit top of the league. They sit top of the league, 7 points clear. They sit top of the league, 7 points clear with, 7-8 games to go? They sit top of the league, 7 points clear with 7-8 games to go, still competing in 4 trophies. They are fighting a war on 4 fronts. It's very unlikely to happen. It almost definitely won't happen. I don't think any Arsenal fan is even talking about it. But there is the possibility that in March, with 8 games to go, Arsenal Football Club are still capable of winning a quadruple. And yet, you and I, we're sneery. We're sneery. We're looking down our nose at them. We're finding things to laugh at them about. We're finding things to attack them with. And ultimately, I feel that it's really poor. You know what we're doing? We're talking about them being overly robust. We're talking about them in a way to try and make ourselves feel better, and we're calling them things that are ultimately so hollow. To make ourselves feel better, if you don't want Arsenal to win the league, and I now live for Arsenal not winning the league, to put my cards on the table here, I live for Arsenal not winning the league. I support 2 teams in the Premier League at the moment. I support Chelsea, and I support whoever Arsenal are playing. That is how desperate I am for Arsenal not to win the league, and to make this kind of like sneery, just so pathetic approach work. What I'm doing is I'm finding things to talk about. I'm going, you know, are Arsenal the worst ever champions if they were to win the league? Are Arsenal one of the most ugly sides to ever win the Premier League? And it is so hollow and it is so pathetic. You know, if I were an Arsenal fan and people were asking that question, I would love it. I would delight in it. I would think that it is, you are trying to find a win where there is no win. Arsenal are going to win the league. And you're now trying to find a win by going, yeah, but they're quite ugly, aren't they? Yeah, but they didn't do it in the way that I feel like they should. Like, shut up. Like, the point of the sentence are Arsenal the worst ever champions? If you're asking that question, you shouldn't ask it, but if you ask it, the point of the question, the point of that sentence that should be attacked is champions. Are Arsenal the worst ever champions? If you're an Arsenal fan, go, shit, champions, mate. The worst ever champions. It's almost an oxymoron. Remember that from school? It's almost an oxymoron. The worst ever champions. The worst ever goal. There's no such thing as a bad goal, is there? There's no such thing as a bad victory, and there's certainly no such thing as an ugly champion. They will be champions, and it's dumb to say otherwise. It's dumb to focus on a negative that doesn't even exist. You know, when we go, let's focus on the negatives of Arsenal. They're going to be champions, man. There isn't a negative. This is going to be their first title win for over 2 decades. And I just think that we all need to stop it. We're finding some pitiful level of glory in the fact that they didn't win in the way that we feel they should win. Who's the loser here? Who's the loser? If an Arsenal fan wins the league and a Chelsea fan then says to the Arsenal fan, you didn't do it in a particularly entertaining way, who's the loser in that? There's only one answer, isn't there? There is only one answer. Like, you cannot find glory in saying that you didn't win silverware in the right way. Calling them ugly. It's pathetic. I mean, it's true, by the way. It's true. They are quite an ugly side. They're quite a bombastic side. They're quite a... It's turgid, but it's effective. And winning games of football is all that matters. Arsenal Football Club, Mikel Arteta especially, this is aimed at, has absolutely no responsibility to entertain you. You know, football fans say that. Go, I didn't enjoy that game. Who are you? Who gave you a God-given right to be entertained? I want to be entertained. Who are you? Caesar. I need to be entertained. Mate, Arteta has no responsibility to entertain you. He has no responsibility to entertain me. Football is about winning. And winning games of football will always be entertaining to the winners. History will always be written by the winners. And I tell you what, I can think of a couple of Chelsea sides that weren't particularly enthralling. I think Mourinho gets a little bit of a bad rep because the Chelsea Mourinho side was actually quite entertaining. You know, it's impossible to not be an entertaining side when you have Joe Cole in the same side as Arjen Robben, when you have Damien Duff and Didier Drogba. I'm afraid, like, it was entertaining, but of course it prided itself on being sturdy, prided itself on being solid, prided itself on giving absolutely nothing away, and I think that is something to be celebrated. Like, you know, this whole idea of entertainment, that Mikel Arteta has to give us headlines, give us entertainment. You don't get football. If you honestly think that Arteta should entertain you, you don't understand the football. If you want to be entertained, I think you are missing the entire point of what the game is about. The game is about glory. Ironically, I've just coined a phrase there from Tottenham Hotspur, which is wild. But if you honestly want to be entertained, go to Legoland, man. It's great. It's great. You've got roller coasters, you and your kids, you and your adult friends, you can go there. You have a great time. If you want to be entertained. Like, if you really want to be entertained. Do you know what? I took my kid to see this film called Goat the other day. Go down the Everyman, man. You'll have a wonderful time if you've got kids. That will be entertaining for you. I'll tell you what, say you're a little bit more cerebral. Say you're really clever. Do you know what else is on at the moment? Wuthering Heights. You know, Heathcliff and all that. Remember that Kate Bush song? If you want to be entertained, get down to cinema now. Go down your local View. Wuthering Heights is there. And if you have absolutely no brain power, you know, if you're like quite dumb, go and watch Scream. They've done like Scream 10 or something. You go and watch that. You will be entertained. You'll be scared. You'll go, whoa! Really entertaining, mate. That is where the entertainment will come. But my point here is football doesn't have to be entertaining. The entertainment comes as a byproduct of winning. Winning is the point. Winners and losers. That's what football is. Football is about being the best, getting to the top, winning the silverware. Everyone else is an insignificance. You do not have a right to be entertained. And ultimately, if you think about what Mikel Arteta is doing wrong, should we try and do this? I think it's quite an interesting experiment, right? Let's talk about what Mikel Arteta is doing wrong. It's a disgrace, the way they play. It's a disgrace. What's he doing wrong, really? Like, do they take too long at set pieces? That's one of the major accusations, isn't it? Should they be going faster? I mean, for the record, Arsenal do take longer than anyone else to do their set pieces. If you watch Arsenal, when they win a corner, there will invariably be a conversation. Before taking the corner, Declan Rice will probably go and have a conversation with Gabriel. So it takes time. I think the average Arsenal corner takes approximately 45 seconds. It should be closer to the 30 mark. So they're taking longer with corners. They are taking longer with corners. Hertzler, on some level, was correct to call it out. He was correct to say that these corners are taking far too long. But it is, in Arsenal's defence, it is taking too long, but in their defence, it's a legitimate tactic. The reason that they're taking a long time is because they have to have those conversations. And what is very interesting, and this is the point that Arsenal fans could really defend it with, they take ages to take their corners, whether they are winning or whether they are losing. So it's not like they're wasting time with the corners. They're just very effective. You have to perfect a craft. There's a lot going on. You have to be very forward-thinking, and they therefore take time to organise. So Arsenal can be losing the game in the 85th minute. The corner will take 45 seconds. Arsenal can be winning 3-0. Or, more importantly, Arsenal could be winning 2-1 in the 85th minute. The corner will take 45 seconds. If it's the same either way, the corners are taking too long. But not necessarily to their benefit, and certainly not for the reasons that are being levelled at them. People are saying that they're taking too long to waste time. They can't be taking too long to waste time because they're doing it regardless of the scoreline. So I don't really see that one as a major issue. The other thing that we keep talking about with Arsenal is the diving, feigning injuries, cheating, effectively. Cheating. And now look, I'm not very popular for this. Not very popular generally. But I'm certainly not very popular for this. I don't have a major issue with cheating. Not really. There's a line. Like, I actually think there's an art form to cheating. You know the way Michael Owen would dangle a leg to initiate contact? If you watch Michael Owen won a penalty against Mauricio Pochettino when England played in the 2002 World Cup in Korea, Japan. Watch the way that he wins the penalty. David Beckham scored the resulting penalty. I think it was in Yokohama. But if you watch the way that Owen initiates the contact, it's Owen effectively kicking Pochettino, but making it look like the other way. Now, I think there is a skill to that. There isn't a skill, and I kind of support the Owen thing. You know, the Raheem Sterling initiate contact. I've got no issue with it. I do have an issue where you just completely fake an injury. So I don't know if you saw Harry Maguire the other day. Harry Maguire was not touched, and he just pretended that he was. I thought that was kind of my line. I thought that one went a little bit too far. But I don't think that Arsenal are majorly guilty of this beyond anyone else. Are Arsenal majorly guilty of it? Yes. But are they worse than Chelsea? Probably not. They worse than Man United? Worse than Maguire? Gabriel's quite bad for it at the back. Gabriel will act as if he's been poleaxed. But is he worse than Harry Maguire? Definitely not. David Raya often goes down, but he is nursing an injury. He's probably a bad example for me to you. Martinelli. Martinelli's a cheat, right? I think every Arsenal fan could probably acknowledge that. I think that he is a cheat, and I've got some Arsenal mates who kind of don't like Martinelli because they have a sterner view on diving than I do. But I don't think that Gabriel Martinelli is worse than Pedro Neto when it comes to diving. I really don't think he is. I also think Declan Rice is like a true staunch professional who actually doesn't do it. I don't think Zubimendi is a massive play actor. So I think Arsenal are cheats, effectively, I suppose is what I'm saying. But I don't think that they're worse than anyone else. And I keep using Chelsea examples here to try and prove that I'm not being biased. But I think Bruno Fernandes is a cheat. I think Harry Maguire is. And also I'm using the word cheat. It's way too harsh, isn't it? Effectively what I'm saying is there are parameters and you have to exist within them. You have to try and work within the rules and make the rules work for you. And Arsenal have done that all their life that I've known. Look, the Herbert Chapman team was kind of famous for it. The George Graham team, 1-0 to the Arsenal, was famous, stepping up with their hand in the air. Offside or not, Adams bowled up. You exist within the parameters of the game. So again, I don't think Arsenal are majorly bad or majorly guilty of it. And then I guess the other boring thing, boring Arsenal. Don't know win the league, we're calling them boring. Who's the winners here, right? It's this conversation about over-reliance upon set pieces. Now look, Arsenal should, and I'm sure they do, take a lot of pride in their excellence at set pieces. And in fact they do, because they painted a mural to that Nico Jova. So they do take pride, but so they should. Set pieces are a huge part of football. And then we have to explore why Arsenal are so good at them. There is obviously a negativity to it. There is obviously a lack of expansive football relying on set pieces, launching the ball into the box. It's kind of a crazy game. Lots of you will be too young to know what I'm talking about here. The 1988, I mean, it went through to like the 94, something like that. But the 1988 FA Cup winning side, Wimbledon, they were really known for this. Laurie Sanchez, Dennis Wise, Vinnie Jones, John Fashanu, Dean Holdsworth. Aggressive, over-reliance on set pieces. Launch the ball into the box. Hope for the best after that. Invariably, Robbie Earle will tuck it away. Right? Efan Ikuku will tuck it away. That's kind of the way that it would work. Arsenal have their own version of that. Invariably, Gabriel gets something on it, the ball ends up in the back of the net. But why? Arsenal's motivation for doing it would be very different to Dave Bassett's at Wimbledon. Very different. Arsenal are doing it a lot of the time, I think, because of this deep block that they're having to face. Like when opposition teams go to play against Arsenal, they pretty much put 11 men behind the ball. And they have a right to do that, by the way. I'm not saying they shouldn't do that. And it would be very hypocritical for Arsenal fans to say they shouldn't do that as well. Everyone can win in their own way. They don't have to play in a particular way. But if you're going to have 11 men behind the ball, if you're going to face 11 men behind the ball, it's going to be very difficult to break them down. They're all brilliant defenders, brilliant athletes. So how are you going to do it? You might have to rely on a set piece. If you find the set piece is boring, if you think that Arsenal are over-reliant on them, there is a chance that maybe the opposition have to be slightly culpable here. Maybe the opposition are slightly reliant upon it. And look, everyone's getting on their high horse. Me, by the way, I keep saying everyone, me. But ultimately, Arsenal are doing what Arsenal have always done. Take advantage of the laws of the game. Ask Herbert Chapman. Ask George Graham. I mean, if you really want to talk about this, ask Henry Norris. It's what happens at Arsenal. And it's what Mourinho did. Like, think about the way that Mourinho, right? Here's a great example. Mourinho did something that at the time was explicit cheating, but is now seen as being genius. I don't know if you've seen the story. I think John Terry told it on a podcast. But the rules of the game are this. If both of your centre-halves hit the deck at the same time, game can't go on. If one of your centre-halves hits the deck, game goes on. So, for example, if Gary Cahill's injured, Cahill can go off, the game goes on, Chelsea have one centre-half. Do you know what Mourinho did? He found the letter of the law, and if Cahill went down, he'd just look at Terry goes down as well. Both centre-halves are down, play can't go on. Terry's not injured. He's gone down just because Cahill's down. Or Terry has legitimately gone down, Gary Cahill suddenly goes, whoops, down he goes. Because play can't go on with both of them down. So it is making the most of the rules of the game. And ultimately, I don't really see the issue. Like, Hertzler's criticism, it's basically inaccurate, isn't it? Basically. He's moaning about the amount of time that corners are taking. We've broken that one down. He's moaning about set pieces. We've kind of broken that one down. But Arsenal have done nothing wrong. They are desperate to win a title. And they are now using the dark arts of the game. It's basically what's happened. Also, it's important to acknowledge here that Mikel Arteta, he has tried the other way. Like, in the last few years, Arsenal sides that pushed Pep Guardiola's side all the way but ultimately ended up with nothing, tried to play attractive football. They tried to play almost Pep Guardiola football. You know, he was seen as being a bit of a B-Tech version of Pep Guardiola. And at the time, even I remember saying this, you're never going to beat Guardiola at his own game. The reason why Antonio Conte beat Guardiola to a league was because Antonio Conte had his own ideas of how to play the game. He came with his own system and he didn't try and replicate somebody else's invention. The reason why Jurgen Klopp won a league against Guardiola was because he came with his own invention. He came with his own rock and roll, heavy metal football, whatever it was. You will not win a league if you try and be a B-Tech version of the master of the game. And if you think about the way that Arteta did it, ultimately they didn't get over the line. You know, they tried to play in his idol's way and didn't get over the line. So what's he done? He's been pragmatic and he has totally come up with a new system, a totally new approach and a totally new application. And it's looking like they're going to win the league. And we're sneering at it. How can you sneer at somebody for finding a way to defeat arguably the greatest to have ever done it? We mocked him when he was Pep Light, and now he's not Pep Light, we're mocking him again. Look, he's finding a way to win, and that's the reason that you employ a manager. Yeah, and they're going to do it, you know that. They are going to do it. So I think that we all need to get over it, and if you're asking questions about, is this the worst ever champion? You're completely missing the point. Congratulations to Arsenal. I feel like last night was the pivotal moment. Let me know what you think. And I guess on some level, I'm going to now stop this. I think everyone should. Are they the worst ever champion? The point of that sentence is they are the champion. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give it a like. Please give it some hype points. And if you really want to do me a massive favour, and it would massively help me out, please do consider clicking subscribe. I wish you a wonderful day. Love and luck to you all. Ta-da.